G'day everyone, Prep Aussie here. I hope you're all well in whatever part of the world you're watching this video. Today is Wednesday, the 28th of February 2018, and the time here is 12:40 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Well, folks, plenty to go over. More than we can keep up with. It's bloody amazing at the moment, to be honest. You know, everywhere you turn at the moment, it seems like there's something new happening in the world, which is all really having an effect on our daily lives here. Regardless of where you live, whether you live in a third world shithole or you live in Australia or you live in America, everything that's going on at the moment is actually having a 100% effect on us. Obviously, the latest machinations with regards to YouTube I'm going to discuss, but let's get the fine details out first. This is my Patreon page. Thank you to everyone who is continuing to support me on Patreon. Much appreciated. Sorry, folks, computer's playing up a bit. This is my PayPal account. The PayPal account is steaming ahead. You know, the money is so that I can keep going and do this, and so I can actually raise enough money, hopefully, if needed, to hire the services of a lawyer to draft a letter or subpoena or whatever in the near future, because of the Australian government handing over nearly $500 million worth of our money, taxpayers' money, to the Clinton Foundation. That's nearly $500,000, folks. 500 million, sorry. You know what we can build with that money? You know what schools haven't been built, roads haven't been fixed, hospitals haven't been built. It's absolute farcical that we got ourselves into the situation, and we need, each and every one of you in Australia needs to actually be writing letters saying, what the hell? You know, give us a break. Next one to show you is one of the sponsors of the show, Slingbow's Australia. As I said, top left-hand corner is one of the fat boys I'm getting. And my son's asked me to get him one of the fishing ones, which is these ones here down below. So we're going to trial them. We're going to show you how they work, and you can see for yourself. I've got a bit to show you today on some financial stuff, but before I did that, or do that, I would like to just, this is mainly for the Australian audience, any Australians out there. If you haven't watched the interview between President Trump and Turnbull, then I would suggest that you do so, because there's a few things about it that are a little bit sus. One, why did Turnbull have to go there now? He only saw him recently, so why did Turnbull have to fly all the way over there to see the American president right at this time? You know, it's getting a little bit weird, you know, like, didn't sit right with me. But then there's also, when you're listening to it through the whole interview, you can actually find the reason for him being there. And the reason for him being there, folks, is so that we can tell the rest of the world that we are 100% in bed with the USA. You only got to listen to the words in Turnbull's speech. One particular one was, we've stood by America through every single war. We've been a staunch ally, and America is our best friend. It was things like that. It was the fine details in the speech. Yeah, it's a long press conference, but I would highly recommend that everybody watch it. Here it is here on YouTube. Now, there's lots of little tidbits in this, which this is the White House down on the left there said, I'll put it in the description box when I'm finished anyway. But if you're an Australian, you need to understand, and look, I've said this before, if America sneezes, Australia catches a cold. Well, there's a reason for this meeting, and the reason is so that we can tell the world that we are, if not the most, one of the most staunch allies of America. It was actually a full-on assault to the Chinese, this press conference. And it was laying down some ground rules for China, by the sounds of it. I would not mind betting after this meeting, in the next, say, 2 weeks to a month, we find out that the US is rapidly, and I mean rapidly, expanding their military forces in Australia, particularly Darwin. Don't be surprised if you hear that there's, Darwin's going to get 10,000 more troops and a couple of destroyers based there permanently. If you know where Darwin is, folks, well, we obviously, if you're in Australia, but if you're not, it's at the top end of Australia. It's the closest point to Asia of all of Australia, really. And as I said, if you're an Australian, watch this press conference, because we have 100% committed ourselves to whatever it is that America is going to do in the near future. For Christ's sakes, guys, we're actually building a boat for America, in America, using an Australian company, and it sounds like Australian funds. Like I said, you've got to watch this press conference to understand the full ramifications. Not that I think that it's a bad thing, by the way, because, as I've said to you before, China will not be able to keep the islands in the South China Sea. And there's a strategic reason why. Is because it's always been America's little cradle, if you want. Very soon, one of these countries is going to turn around to China and say, no, we're not having that. And it'll be Vietnam or Laos or Burma, sorry. One of these countries is going to turn around and say, hang on a minute. We didn't ask you to be there, and we don't want you there. Why are you there? Now, there's already been altercations between the Philippines and the Chinese in that area. I hope you know that. Some pretty serious, like sinking ships and stuff. So they're playing for keeps, these guys, folks. And I think the US diplomacy on this has been, just give them a little bit more rope, give them a little bit more rope, give them a little bit more rope. And then when the world turns around and says, well, hang on a minute, you actually can't do this, then they're going to have to call on somebody to fix it up, and that will obviously be America. So it's coming down the pipeline, so just all be prepared for it. That's all. Right, moving on. The financial stuff. I'm not sure if you know anything about Deutsche Bank. I just want to show you something. Deutsche Bank is by recognition one of the biggest banks in the world, if not the biggest. Does a hell of a lot of loans, etc. Now I just want to take this back a couple of years first to show you. This doesn't go back far enough, actually. It used to go back 10 years, funny enough. Now it's only going back 5 years. At one stage, their share price was up to about $100 or something per share. So if you're holding Deutsche Bank shares, you're pretty pissed at the moment because they are valued at $13.06. They are 75, I think it's trillion dollars in debt. And they are going to go pop. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because of this. Did you know that a bank in Latvia went bust the other day? Now, this has huge ramifications for Europe. The reason it's failed is because the ECB, the people who are supplying all the funds to all the banks in Europe currently, buying all their debt, even they pulled out and said, we're not going to support you anymore. So this is a really big deal, folks. There's a good article here, funny enough, from CNBC on this particular problem. Now, it's only going to take one or two banks in Europe to go plonk, and the whole world's in a bit of problem. So I'm only highlighting it to you because you might have missed it, and it is really important, folks. But one of the main reasons I shut this bank down was because the American government said that it was laundering too much money. Can you believe that? Yeah, they said it was laundering too much money. Yeah, that's hilarious. That just cracks me up. You can't make this shit up, folks, seriously. And then, as we have been discussing, Wall Street fell again last night. And it will continue to do so, folks. It'll continue to go up and down, up and down, up and down, like a seesaw. So I can only stress to you how important it is that you actually make sure you've got your I's dotted and your T's crossed. Because me, just being an outsider looking in, because I'm not a financial guru or anything, it's bad. It's bad, folks. It's very bad. I just wanted to talk to you about something as well. I've had several people write in to me on the comment sections asking if I can give them advice as regards to finance. I am not a financial analyst. I am not a financial guru. I don't do that. I'm not qualified to do that. I'm just showing you a layman's terms idea of what's going on in the world, because a lot of people out there don't understand the higgledy-piggledy crap and scenario that some of these bigwig guru guys go on with. So I'm just breaking it down to a more or less basement level conversation so you can go and look for yourself. Now, as regards to your homes and your home loans and stuff, well, look, as I told you, I set mine at 3.9% for the next 3 years. That gives me some comfort lying in bed all night that, you know, that's all I've got. I've got that to look forward to for the next 3 years. It's not going to go up, not going to go down. I fixed it at 3.9, which is historically in Australia is the lowest rate ever that's ever been offered. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now, people have been writing in and asking me, should I sell my house? You know, should I shift out, go on rent, keep the money? Where should I keep the money? Look, when this does happen, and I'll emphasize the when, then it won't matter where you've got your money, folks, whether you've got it in a bank, whether you've got it under your mattress. At some stage, your money will eventually be useless. That's how big this crash is going to be. You know, inflation is now starting to run rampant around the world. So much so that interest rates are going to have to go up. It's impossible for them not to. That's going to cause problems because more money that people have, they will either do one or two things with it: pay off their debt or go and spend money. Guess what the majority of people do with more money? Yeah, go and spend with it. But if you're savvy and you're smart, you'll be paying off your debts at the moment. I've said this before. In the 1980s or in the early 90s, credit card rates, interest rates were 30 to 35 to 40%. Currently, they're 15, I believe. So look at your credit card right now, get it and look at it and go, well, can I afford double what I'm paying now on anything there? Let that sink in a bit. If it went up by another 15% tomorrow, could you realistically pay it off? If the answer is no, then you must, as soon as possible, reduce your credit card debt, because they are going to absolutely hammer you with that. And as I said, housing, here's my view on it. In the 1929 crash, a lot of the people left their homes and got forced out of their homes, etc., because they didn't pay back the banks, blah, 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 blah. That ain't going to happen this time. Why do I say that? Well, that's because this time a lot more people own their houses. Let that sink in. What are they going to do? What's the government actually going to do with all the people? Are you, Susan out there, or Bill or Bob, whomever, are you going to get a knock on the door and you're just going to go, okay? Of course you're not. What will actually happen is people will band together in communities, in your neighbourhood, and they will physically stop people being evicted onto the streets. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. Because if you let people start getting thrown out of the streets, you will be next. So that's my view on it. Should you sell your home? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not selling mine. But if they want to throw me out of it and put me on the street, yeah, there's going to be trouble. I'd rather go to jail and spend, why would I want to live out on the streets? I'm not an animal. I don't think the majority of you people are either. So that's my take on it. Okay, moving on. A lot of people have been writing in and asking me my opinion on the Florida shooting. Okay, let me start at the beginning here. One, I live in Australia, so any information I get here in Australia is pretty well second or third hand information coming from America. I'm basing most of my information on YouTube channels that I know don't put crap out. But, and here's the big but those same channels have now been shut down, the majority of them. And now they're looking at shutting Alex Jones down and everyone else. Well, can I just say something here? What were you expecting? What was anybody expecting? You do realise what we're doing here, don't you? We're in a war. And right now, we're in an information war. Because the thing that's pissing them off is that we're winning. What we're saying is resonating in people's heads, and people are now starting to wake up in droves because we're telling the truth. It's as simple as that. Now, Florida shooting, for example, is the same, as far as I can tell, it's the same operational methods the other ones. What I don't get is how come they picked the kid up, a couple of k's away after he'd been to McDonald's. How come someone reckons that they were talking to him, standing outside and talking to him, by the way, which you can't watch anymore because that video's disappeared. How come 4 policemen stood outside while the kids were getting shot up? How come we're not allowed to see the videos inside the school? How come there's now 2 people that say that they actually saw a SWAT team guy shooting before, he's dressed up in SWAT gear or whatever, before the police got there? How come the Uber driver that dropped this kid off hasn't been arrested? Because apparently he had tactical stuff and, bags of crap and, So what? The Uber driver just said, "Oh, have a good one, mate. God bless. Do your best." Look, there's too much. The old saying is, where there's smoke, there's fire. The interesting thing out of all of that interested me greatly was the Jake Tapper interview with Scott Israel, which clearly proved beyond doubt that the guy is A, a wanker, and 2, he hasn't got a clue what was happening on that day. And 3, he is absolutely 100% in the wrong and shouldn't be there. That's the first thing that everybody should be asking themselves. Why is that guy still running that county's police force? Guys, 17 kids died. That's all I know. All the other periphery stuff is not worth worrying about at the moment. And I know that sounds weird, but it's not. What is actually important at the moment is the fact that we're in an information war, and we all need to make sure we know what we're talking about, and we all need to make sure that we are pretty bloody perfect in what we're saying. I know that that's hard to do because only God's infallible, but my point is there's no point in an Australian telling you about what happened in the Florida shooting. I can't. It's physically impossible for me to tell you the truth. I can tell you what I think happened, and I just did, because, you don't have to be a rat to smell a rat. I've watched all these channels lately going off half-cocked about this stuff, and it worries me a little bit because some people were just echo chambers of the other one. Well, if you listen to Jerome Corsi, who is, I believe, pretty well up there in regards to information, and possibly Sean from SGT Report, because those people know each other and they know the real deal. Someone like me, I'm just basing my information on second-hand information, possibly, or third-hand information from YouTube. That's it. It sounds a bit cliche to say this, folks, but I'm going to, because Alex Jones says it a lot. And it's never been truer than right now, because people like me, people like you, are the resistance. And moving forward, we have to do this together. No man is a mountain, and no man can move a mountain. But together we can do great things. and together we can beat this. As I said before, the whole reason we're doing this is so that our kids and future generations do not have to suffer the same bullshit that we've been going through for the last 40 to 50 years since the Second World War. It's got to stop, and it has to stop. It can't keep going, folks. So if you're serious about this information war, because don't forget, the first thing in a war is to do two things: remove all other pieces of information than the one that you're trying to ram down people's throats. So we are at that stage now. They're trying to stop the narrative getting out from us. The second one is, if they can't do it peacefully like they're doing now, they will forcibly do it. Go through every country that's ever had anything like this and you'll know it's true. Germany, Zimbabwe, Argentina, just to name a few, China. So, as I said, if you're serious, now's not the time to sit back with your thumb up your ass. Now's the time for you to actually get motivated. A lot of these companies are owned by people like Apple. Well, how do you hurt someone that big? Simple. Don't buy their shit. I haven't got anything Apple. I never own anything Apple. Why would I? That's the simple answer, folks. Dump everything that you have. If these companies want to fight you as regards information, fight back. Fine. I won't use Apple. I won't use any Microsoft. I won't use any of that crap. They only understand one thing, folks: greed. Probably two: greed and money. The old saying goes, you want to hurt them, hit them in the hip pocket. All right, so ending the sermon. I want to go through some stuff with you as regards to if you are prepping. Like I've told you before, I'm 53. And as you get older, things don't work as well as they used to, creak and groan, carry on, etc. I've mentioned this before. These are hand grips. The reason I recommend everybody get some hand grips is because regardless of what happens in the future, you're going to be using these things. So if you've been stuck behind a desk for the last 10 years, you'll know that everything in your body's gotten a lot weaker. Buy a pair of these. They come in, range of sizes and compressions. I'm up to the 200s now. And it's made a dramatic impact on my hands, my hand soreness, and my strength, my forearm strength, and my grip, especially my grip. The reason I'm telling you to use these is for your grip. I have to use them as well because of my illness, because it attacked my hand. So the only way I can stop it it's a mind thing. I won't go into it, but look, I can't recommend them enough. Even a woman can use them. You just get the soft ones and just go like that. They're really easy to use, and I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Just want to show you something. This is not a plug for the Dockers, but this is a cap. It's not a hat. It's a cap. Now, if you're a serious bug out person, this is about as much use to you as a hip pocket in your underpants, because it doesn't really do anything except tell people who you support. It doesn't keep hardly any sun off you because of the fact that, it's just got this duck bill on it. That's it. Now, if you want to buy a real hat, buy something like this. It's weatherproof, believe it or not, and they wear well. You'll have this for years and years and years. If you've got that, wear it to the game with your kids, because it's a kids thing. Do you think there's any particular this will make you laugh. 1950s was when everyone used to wear hats. The last generation was the 1950s stroke 60s. And guess what happened after then? Skin cancer rates doubled and are now at all-time highs because of the fact that no one wears a hat. Even women used to wear a hat. It's only a little thing, but just remember it. It will be beneficial for you in the future if you are serious about prepping. Here you go, folks. This is the Bible verse of the day. Verse of the day. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Wow, that's pretty good, isn't it? Verse of the day. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Very strong, very powerful. And as always, folks, we'll end with the Lord's Prayer. The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Well, folks, I'm going to leave it there. But look, I hope I got my point across about you are the resistance. You know, I'm just some turkey sitting here saying whatever I want to say. But the thing is, I can say whatever I want to say. And you have the right, as much as I, to say whatever it is you want to say. There is no going back, folks, unless you want to live in a world which truly is 1984, where people are watching you do whatever they want to you, your kids. Well, one of the reasons why I started doing this was so hopefully I could help wake up other people. But see, that time is still here. But now the woken up people that I've woken up, hopefully, are now at the stage where they're prepared to stand up and actually say and do things to make this movement get stronger. Because one man, as I said, one man cannot do this on his own. It's impossible. All right, folks. God bless. Prep out.